Let's take a breath together. So last week, I invited you to spend the week exploring your current story and entertaining the idea of letting it go. I love that this morning's affirmation is, I release my old story with what? Celebration. Because I don't know about you, but most of the time when people are telling me to let go of my story, they're not using the word celebration. They're like, you just need to let go of your story. Well, that doesn't feel celebratory. It feels rather guilting and shaming and filled with condemnation and judgment. And I have to own, I've been that person that said that to people, right? It's not helpful. So if you're one of those people that say that to someone else, stop it. That's the simple solution. Just stop it. Our stories, our history, our evolution is precious. It brought us to this moment. And I love the Emerson's quote, to be grateful for it all, because all of it brought us to this moment, yes? If any part of us, any moment was different, we would be at a different place. That's just how it works. And so we created every one of those moments. Perhaps we can just celebrate without having to beat ourselves up, without having to answer the infamous why. Because here's the thing about why. Even if we can accurately answer it, the best we can do is put it in a box, right? We make ourselves a little why box. And every time you figure out a why, write it down on a file card and put it in there. So when someone says, why did you do that? Hold on. This is why I did that. It changes nothing. It changes nothing. Not even us. And in fact, what it actually does is anchor us in the past. Because now where is my attention? My attention is on justifying. My attention is on rationalizing. My attention is squarely in a moment that is no longer happening. And so what I'm doing is recreating that in the now. And law, the activity of creation goes, oh, he wants more of that. And then all of a sudden it is happening in the now. And then I'm in that place of, why does this keep happening? Well, it keeps happening because I keep making it so. Nobody else is doing it. The hardest thing that I have ever done is to live in the now. Now, let me caveat that. Living in the now is not hard. Letting go of all of the mental rhetoric that keeps me in the past or in the future is challenging, because it challenges everything I've ever been taught. Right? I'm supposed to figure out what I did in the past so that I can make sure I don't do it in the future. And while I'm doing that, I'm supposed to somehow pay attention to what's happening now so I can use what's happening now to prevent doing the past again in the future. All my attention is still in the past. And so I continue to recreate that. Interestingly enough, our founder, Ernest Holmes, clearly defines for us on page 448 the purpose of science of mind. In fact, the title of the paragraph, in fact, says in italics, the purpose of science of mind. It's not coded, it's not hidden, it's right there. Here's what he says. The whole purpose of science of mind is to reconcile the apparent separation of the spiritual world, which must be perfect, with the material world. It's not to avoid the material world. It's not to spiritually bypass the material world. It's not to deny the material world. It is to reconcile, to bring together, to, dare we suggest, to live in alignment with the physical world and our spiritual self. So how do we do that? Well, if we go back one page to page 447, if we would come to the universal wholeness, okay, we are already whole. That's what we are. We can't make ourselves whole, but if we're going to come to it, if we are going to arrive to actualize it, we must approach it through the law of its own nature. So what is it? It being consciousness, it being wholeness, it being the infinite, it being the substance that we're made out of. This means that we must give our undivided attention. Undivided. Not on Sundays, not on Wednesdays, not when it's convenient. Our undivided attention to the spiritual unit back of all things. Our undivided attention to consciousness. Our undivided attention to what we're made of. Since all else is included within this unit, all else, not the people you like, not the ideas you like, all else. We find our particular good, the good we're thinking about, only through unity with life. We have to take ourselves to task. And the only way I know to do that is to start challenging our thoughts. When we're experiencing something and we're telling ourselves, oh, this is just, stop. Ain't a word of truth in it. If we are stating situational stuff as accurate fact, as truth, we have to stop right there. Because what's true is that what is showing up in effect is the outpicturing of beliefs. It is not the wholeness. It is a particularized use of the wholeness. It is a belief that is being outpictured, especially when we're talking about other people. It's so easy to fall into, oh, well, they just want. You don't know what they want. You have no idea what they want. None. I would dare say most of us have no idea what we want most of the time. But we're really good at declaring that we know what other people want based on their behavior. All we know is that we're experiencing their behavior. Now here's the thing, folks. How you experience their behavior is based on what you believe about that behavior. It's not based on even what they're doing. It's based on what you're telling yourself about what they're doing. Doesn't mean we put blinders on Okay, let me be really clear because I know some of you just went to that place of, oh, so I just turn off the TV and ignore everything around me and life is, no, no. Where do we find wholeness? In the unity of all things. There is no me, there is no you, there is no place to separate to, there is nothing to separate from. What's the purpose of science of mind? To reconcile the apparent separation between our spiritual self and the material world. When we really understand that the material world is nothing more than an outpicturing of how much clarity we are operating with about our own wholeness, everything shifts. And so to boldly create a new narrative is to do just that. Think about narrative. Think about your story. Let go. I encourage you to let go of that word because it's got some nasty connotations. Right? To write a new narrative. Narrate. You are narrating your own life experience. And your life experience is showing up post-narrative. First, we write the narrative, and then we experience it. Most of us are clueless about what's really going on in here. It's automated. We've been told what to think generationally. Right? The conditioning starts before we're even born because it's a generational conditioning. All of those things, when you're born and air hits you, your first indoctrination is the beliefs of the people who birthed you. The nurses, the doctors, the building, all of that. In animal husbandry, that's called imprinting. It's interesting that the animal science world actually acknowledges that and strategizes that imprinting because they recognize that that very first imprinting on that animal carries through that animal's entire life. How would we birth humans differently if we consciously attended to that first imprinting? Wow. Wouldn't that, and some birthing centers actually have, do that. And then that first moment with our parents, imprinting. As an EMT, one of the saddest moments that I ever witnessed, I was in labor and delivery doing my clinical, and this amazing woman, and I'm here to tell you, women deliver babies. EMTs, paramedics, doctors, we catch them. But women deliver them. And I watched this woman go through this whole labor and delivery. And the minute the doctor announced that it was a little girl, I watched her turn to her husband and apologize for not giving him a son. Broke my heart. Those are the things in our collective consciousness that are available for us to shift. Why would we apologize for creating any human being? Oh my goodness. You. All y'all out there. That's a southern redundancy. You are whole, perfect, and complete. You always have been. Nothing in you is missing. Nothing in you has ever been broken. You can't be broken. God cannot be broken. Our human body can be violated. It can be scarred. It can be wounded. You cannot. Your container can. And we can heal that. You can't get better than the moment you got here. Because nothing's missing. And too many of us spend our whole lives trying to find what's missing in us. And I invite you this morning to begin to reveal your story. To boldly reveal a new story of you. Because the story of you has already been written. It has been written on the heart of creation itself. That's why you're here. Because God, the divine, the infinite love, spirit, whatever word works for you, wanted to experience itself as you. That's how precious you are. That's how profound your presence is. And so I invite you to spend whatever physical time you have left on this planet dedicating yourself to revealing that. To let go of measuring up to any human standards. To spend time doing the spiritual work. If you want a higher consciousness, go this way. It's a paradox. You can't go up in consciousness without going deeper inward. Because that's where it is. It's not lost. You don't have to look for it. You don't have to find it. We talked briefly last week about all those self-help books that are sitting in mint condition on your shelves at home. It's not in there. Doesn't mean somebody else's writing might not help you reveal it. But there's nothing in that book that is magic that you don't already possess. I want to wrap up with this. Before the 12 steps of recovery were written, early goers to Alcoholics Anonymous, which is the 12-step fellowship that started that whole process, they were encouraged to read Thomas Troward's Edinburgh Lectures. Why? Because it is a great resource about cause and effect. We are cause and effect. Cause is the infinite quantum field, energy, love, whatever label you put on it. It's infinite, it's indefinable. We are the effect of that in form. Cause is the substance. Form is the effect. How we use it is in our thoughts and our beliefs. And the beliefs that you hold unexamined, the ones that operate under the surface, automated without question, are the ones that operate the most efficiently. I invite you, put on your spiritual scuba gear and dive on in there and find them. Heal them. And all that means is change them. That's the beautiful part about thought. Whatever belief got created can be changed. Cause is changeless. Everything in form, including thoughts, can change. Boldly, courageously, defiantly if you need to. Begin to narrate a new version of you simply by revealing what's already there. Let's take this into prayer. So in this moment, I recognize that there is one infinite, ever-present allness. Its nature is love. Its nature is infinite possibility, wholeness, perfection, completeness. No adjective can encompass all that it is. Love, grace. It gives from itself. to itself. It creates out of itself to experience itself. And so I know that I am that informed. I know that every living being in form is that informed. I know that this lectern is that informed. All within the whole. And so I speak my word for all of creation this morning. Speaking in the first person because there's only one of us here. That the wholeness that has always been present is lifted up as we go deeper. Deeper into an awareness of our perfection, of our wholeness, of the infinite possibility that lies within each and every one of us, no longer bound, no longer tethered to what was or what might be. We are about the business of revealing what is and allowing that to guide our actions and our steps to the fulfillment of wholeness, which must manifest as a world that works for every individualized expression of the one. And so I celebrate. I celebrate every messy moment. I open the doors of my heart and my mind wide open. I say yes. Yes to this mystery unfolding in, through, and as life. Yes to living in alignment and unity. Yes to revealing the wholeness that I am. Yes. Yes to seeing the wholeness that everyone else is. Yes. Grateful, grateful, grateful. So I let go. I let it be. And I invite you, claim it, own it, as we say together. And so it is.